Hello guys, Nigel here with you. Welcome back. Part 10 now of the build of this beautiful Douglas A-20G Havoc from Hong Kong Models. And if you remember, in part 9 we got the turret all assembled, and as you can see here now, everything has been primed and painted, so everything's looking good. I had to go over and repaint the seat. I didn't do the ejector pin marks in the seat very good, so I've gone over and redone them. So I've painted it all green because generally it would appear that the turret was pretty much green, but lots of it was flat black, metallic, silver and that. There's not really a lot going on. It's certainly not going to look as lovely as the Lancaster nose turret does in the old scheme with the aluminium and bits of green and the bullets and the bits of black and that. It's not going to look anything like that. So in this book here, this is the Douglas A-20 Havoc, the Ultimate Look by William Wolfe. As I've said before, I saw this the other day advertised for 70 odd quid. For a modeller's reference guide, I wouldn't say it's worth it. It's certainly, you know, when you compare it to something like this for the Lancaster, which is like 20 quid, it doesn't come close. Now, luckily, there is an A-20 Havoc book coming in this series, hopefully by the end of November 2023. You'll see it here first, so hopefully we'll have that here. But basically, this book here is what we've got at the moment, what I've got at the moment for the Havoc, and there really is nothing more. This is the trouble, you see, all the pictures, this all restored aircraft. There's no, it's, you know, here back here we've got all original stuff, but it's all black and white. So, and there's nothing in here about colours or, you know, unless you want to read the 500 and whatever it is pages. There may be some 519 pages. It just goes on and on and on. But here we've got some information regarding the turret in the chapter 18, and you can see here we've got the turret. It's a Martin Electric C250 CE7 through 21 turret is the advert it's got there, and we've got a picture of an aircraft there which is not an A-20. So you can see here how the fuselage is bulged, and you can look down in top and you can see the bullets in there. If you remember that I got the bullets in the Edwards set, there's not enough of them, they're not long enough, so they won't do the job. The screen around the back there is too wide, so obviously Edward haven't really done their homework on that one. I hope somebody will come up with some resin, you know, maybe some 3D printed or something, bullets that you can lay in the turret. I may well leave the clear unglued so that I can fit them should I want to, because it does look a bit, you know, when you look down on the top and you've got those photo etch, you know, gears that pull the bullets in. It would look a lot nicer if we had something there rather than just the empty bits and pieces that are there. So we've got a black and white picture there which doesn't really show us very much at all. And then going over here we've got some colour pictures, and these do look like it's a non-restored turret because it's all looking a little bit chipped and worn and everything. So hopefully you can see that. So you can see here, this is the mechanism where the bullets go over. So you can see that's green with a bit of black in the middle. We've got the ammo boxes that are attached to the seat, the footrest. You can see the footrest bar there. So this is sort of looking in there, if you like, looking in that way, or looking in that way at the turret. So you can see the ammo boxes there, which I've got here painted black, and I've gone around and filled the backs in because they're basically hollow plastic pieces, and I have a feeling that when you look down through the glazing in front of the rear turret, I think you may see that, the back of that. So I've just basically put a piece of plastic card over the back and sanded them in because when they're fitted they stick out the sides. So we've got those pictures there. There's also, whatever you can see, the seat is basically black, and again this looks unrestored. We can see here that shield around there looks like it's like an olive drab colour rather than the bright interior green. And then we've got some, you know, sort of tainted interior green up here. You can see here the difference in colour of the restored aircraft and the non-restored parts, so kind of, you know, worth bearing in mind. And then we can see up here, looking up in, we can see the bottoms of the guns there. And then we've got the grab handles and everything, and we can see a few little bits and pieces that are missing from the kit, but you'd never see them on the finished model anyway, so that's all well and good. And then here we've got some more black and white pictures, and then here's a picture looking at from the inside, looking at the guns. We've got the gun sight there. So we've got a few ideas of what colours things should be. I've also got this book here, which is B24. I got for a reference for B24s for the Hobby Boss kit that I still haven't built. It's quite a good book actually. It's got lots of really nice illustrations and proper stories. You know, you've got some real nice period photographs and also some colour restored stuff. So it's giving you a pretty good idea, and you can see the controls and everything there. It's a nice little book, this, for the B24. But here's the bit about the engineered top turret gunner. They had the same turrets, the B24 and the B20, the A20. So we can see here there's a nice colour image of what's obviously restored, but it does look pretty accurate. We've got the flat black pieces on the side, so you haven't got that bright green sticking out. Here is that piece that's completely missing from the kit, which I can't believe Edward didn't include in their photo etch set. I can't believe they didn't include that. You can see there the bullets and everything in their tracks. So we can see, and there's a lot to look at. A lot of this is all black rather than the green, but you know, you pays your money, you takes your choice. And then we can see here again, looking up into the turret, because the guy was also the flight engineer that was the top turret gunner. You can see here again, looking up in, sorry, you've got glare, that's looking up in from underneath. You can see the ammo boxes there. We've got some lovely images there of the turret on the B24, looking straight down in the top. You can see how much better it would look with those bullets in there. And there's a vision looking out of the back. For some reason we've got a picture of the Bombay there. Quit your bitching. So there you go. I was hoping to find a picture of where the belts were, but I can't really see any belts in here at all. I mean, there's the bottom of the seat, that's the control box, and I can't see any belts on that seat at all. They must have had belts, they must have belted in, they must have done. But anyway, we'll have a deeper look and see what we can come up with. But there we go. So got some reference. So I'm just going to get on and do some painting. I'm going to spray that, roughly mask everything, paint the seat black, and then if I have to, I'll go around with a brush and touch in. I'm also going to paint all this up here black, because that should be black there, and I got a feeling that shield should be black as well. So you know, we don't have to look at any of this bright green colour. But it's a bit concerning. I don't know if this is just weathered. You know, the old interior green colour, it looks more like bronze green, doesn't it, actually? I may actually change the colour looking at this, because that does actually look like weathered bronze green, doesn't it? Rather than the normal interior green. In fact, it looks quite a lot like my zinc chromate green, doesn't it? In fact, even a bit darker than that. I don't know, we'll have a look, see what we come up with. I've got some Vallejo bronze green, I think. I thought I did, but I don't think I have. What's this one? This is interior green. That looks a lot darker, doesn't it? We shall see. Anyway, I'm not going to put Vallejo through my airbrush. No. So there we go. So I'm going to get on and get some painting done, and then I'll be back, and hopefully you've got some good reference information from that. Saves you having to go buying expensive books. But we'll have a little play and see what we can do with this turret. Okay, so it's actually about 3 or 4 days later now. Lots happened since the first bit. But there we go. We can see I've got all this painted up now. I've got like a metallic black on the gun breeches. We've got the gears there with the silver over the top. We've got the black motors for the drive gears that pull the bullets up through. This is all black in here. The fittings on there are all aluminium as per my reference. I've got a piece of photo etch to go on there, and then we'll have to go around the edge with some black to get rid of the shiny edge. And yeah, as you can see here, we've got issues with the, oh no, I thought I saw a bit of brass chipped off, and it must have been a bit of dry brushing. But yeah, there's a bit of brass there chipped off, which is the problem with photo etch all the time, so that'll have to be touched up. But basically that's going to sit in there just like that, and it's going to look lovely. So there we are. So there we go. I'm going to use these. I found these. I've forgotten I had these. These are RB barrels, 32 AB01. I'm not sure if you can still get them, but they're 1/32 .5 M2 Browning gun barrels, and I got them on eBay. I think I got a few packets of 2, so I'm going to use them on the actual turret when we come round to it. I'll put those back in the box. I've got the ASK ones here, which are 3D printed, but the problem with these, as you can see, they're bent. So I think they're going to be fine in the nose, but I don't think they're going to be any good like for the turret, because they're, as I say, they're bent. So these here are made, the ones on the right are made to specially fit in somewhere, but the others, I don't know if they're going to be any good or not. We may have to use metal barrels throughout, but we'll see. I have got some other barrels. I've got some Edward ones, full set for the B-17G. I've also got some CMK ones, and they've got breeches and everything with them, so if I'd have thought of it, I would have used the breeches in the turret, but never mind. I still might. So, moving along, looking at that, there's something missing. It's the bullets. There's no bullets in there. It just doesn't look right. So I've been looking around, and I have found that Gaspatch models, I'll put a picture up now, Gaspatch models make some in a 300mm, like 12-inch length, and that's going to be brilliant. They're flexible, so I'll be able to cut a length off, roll them over, stick them down, whatever, and then just paint them. And they're going to give the whole turret a much better look. I don't like that empty look. As you know, if you didn't see part 9, was it, or whatever, before this one, I tried to use the Edward ones. One, they're photo etched, so they're flat, which in 32nd scale is no good at all. And they're not long enough. They're only like 6 bullets long, and they need to be like 9 bullets long. If you had them touching the chute down here, they'd only go to like here. If you had them touching the gun, they'd go to there and just be hanging out doing nothing. So they obviously weren't tested. And also this plate on the front here, that needs to be cut down so that it's the same width. You can see here the piece of plastic that it's bonded to. If I can get it in the light, you'll see it. There you go. You can see here the piece of plastic that it's bonded to, the width of that needs to be cut to the same width. Otherwise the clear part won't slide on the top. So you have been warned. And that's from the Edward set 321012. I've got it here. 321012, yeah. So I don't know about the engines and stuff yet, because I haven't done them yet, but all the cockpit stuff seemed to fit okay so far. So I'm going to stall this turret for now, and I want to keep going. I don't want to have to stop and wait, because I'm going to order some. I'm not sure if I can get them in the UK. I've emailed Gaspatch and asked them if they can tell me who supplies them in the UK, because Hannants is a stocker of Gaspatch, but they don't seem to have any of the accessories. They only have the kits. So there we go. So looking in the instructions, we've pretty much done this. Moving forward, next is the bomb bay, and as you know, we have the Edward photo etch set for that, which Edward kindly donated free of charge. So here we have that, and we've got all those ribs and everything going in. Now, 2 points of interest here. One, what's good is most of the parts all seem to be on these 2 sprues. We have this row of holes across the bottom, and for some reason Hong Kong model have left them all blind, and in real life I think they are actually punched through. So we may be drilling those out, so we'll see about that in a minute. The other thing is there are different fuel tank configurations with the A20. One of its biggest issues was range, so people started putting extra tanks in them. Now it would appear that this aircraft, that's as modelled, has got these 2 shelves here in the bomb bay. So when you look up underneath, you are going to see this corrugated, get out of the plastic. When you look up underneath, you're going to see this corrugated panel, which is how it was in real life. That dinghy's not very nice, is it? Which is how it was in real life. Now, the fuel tanks would have sat on top of there, the additional fuel tanks, and of course then you got these additional bomb racks. Now, the earlier models had the bombs in racks hanging down the side, just like in a B-25 or a B-24. So this is actually modelled on a particular aircraft, and you need to check your references to see if you're happy. I think that there should be like optional. I'm not sure. But it's something I spoke to Neil about, and he said he used an American aircraft in America and it had those shelves in it, so we've got the shelves. We can see the shelves in the reference material I've got as well. We can also see it talked about in that book. So I think we'll just go along with it, have the shelves in there. Imagine there are fuel tanks in there to give it an extra, because this is a Havoc over Europe, and one of the things the British did to enable day bombing runs to Germany was add fuel tanks to increase the range. So I'm just assuming that's what was going on here. In the books it may tell you this only happened from serial number 25, or you know, DO25 or DO45 or whatever. But I would kind of ignore that, because what the British did throws all that out the window, because the British actually got aircraft from the French that were older and then converted them to enable them to go further. So you know what I mean. It may be what the manual says, the manual that Douglas made, but then people might have then put those changes, those additions, those modifications my bloody throat, they might put those modifications back into an earlier aircraft. So I think whatever you do, you're going to be okay, because this plane was so popular everywhere in the world, wasn't it? Well, pretty much everywhere in the world. So I think we're going to go for that. The only trouble is it's going to hide a lot of this lovely detail that we're going to add. We're going to add all this lovely detail here with these ribs and everything, and it's going to hide a lot of the lovely detail on the roof as well. But hey, it's going to be fun doing it. So there we go. The other thing I'm going to do is, if you look on the sidewalls here, you have these ribs. These are vertical ribs running down the side, and they're solid. Now the photo etch has all the lightning holes in it. So what we've got to do is get the photo etch. I'll mark out where the holes are and then drill them out bigger. In reality, what this has is one sheet with a flange on the edge. So that flange gives it rigidity this way, and the actual rib itself is giving rigidity this way. And longitudinally as well. So what Hong Kong models have done is actually moulded this as a section of plastic, which they have to, because they can't mould it in a scale thickness of a piece of probably 18 gauge aluminium. What what Edward have done is given us a rib to go on either side. So you're going to see the hole from both sides. You won't just have a plain side and a dull side. If you really, really do want to do this and you want to go and get it absolutely spot on, what you're going to have to do is put an edge on these, so it's got like a rolled edge on it, cut the plastic ribs away and just glue these in, if you really, really want to make it look real. But I can assure you, for what you're going to see, because you know, when you look up underneath, you're going to have the bomb bay door here, then you're going to have this area here before you even see any of these ribs, so you're probably not going to see a lot of it anyway. And you can see how narrow the bomb bay roof is, so when that's all together, it's only going to be like an inch apart. So but we'll put it in because it's fun to do. So there we go. Right, I think I need to wash these parts as well. They feel, I think I'll do some work on them first, because if I'm going to drill these holes out, I may as well do that before I wash them. So we'll drill them out and chamfer them out from behind to make it look like thin steel, thin aluminium. But I'm going to check my references first. So I will see you in a second. Alright, so I've got the bomb bay sort of taped together. We've got this end bulk on, and this forms the back of the wheel bay, and this is like the back of the area just behind the cockpit. So we've basically got about that, and you can see now, when you look up in there, how little you can actually see. It kind of makes you wonder, you know, is it worth getting the Edward set? I say yes, because it's going to really pop, because you have lots of edges and corners and to catch, you know, rather than just these plastic flanges, you'll have all the holes and all the edges in the corners, and these plastic blocks up here will be replaced with fabrications. So I think it'll look quite good. Now, if you don't want to put them in, you don't have to put these floors in. You can leave this completely empty. You you know, as if they've removed all the bomb carrying capabilities, you know, everything, because I believe when they ferried them, when they had to fly them a very long distance, they completely, I've got a picture, they put a great big fuel tank up in here and completely filled the thing up with fuel. So you know, you can really do what you want, but I do need to check my references and look into these holes here, because I want to open them up if I can. I think it'll look a lot better than just having the you know, the embossed hole there. I need to find a way of picking up the center, so I might have to do something like I did with my Titanic jigs and make a little something up. We shall see. But basically, you know, really happy with that. It looks lovely. I think what I'm going to do now, I may not do it, we shall see, but if I do, it'll be part 17. A beginner's build on how to use Eduard photo etching instructions, because there are some people out here that would love to have a go but are a little bit scared because, you know, they've gone and spent £200 on a kit and then they're going to start cutting it up, and I'm just going to sort of basically show them you don't need to worry, I think. So I think I might do that, because this is going to be something fairly easy to show them with, because it's all fairly big pieces, and I can show you what the red means and how to fold it, and what the, you know, the red means here and what the blue means, and this, that and the other, and the different glues to use, and this, that, everything else. So I think I'll do that. So when I come back in this video, I will have some of the photo etch done, and then I'll do a bit more, and then we'll get it all painted and everything. So it's going to be a lot of work. So yeah. So as you can see, you know, with those floors in and with these bulkheads in here, that bulkhead there, you know, you can't really see a lot of the Bombay. So as I say, you could just leave it all out if you wanted to. But, totally up to you. It's your model. You do what you want to do. Right. So I'm going to get this taken apart, and then we'll look at what we're going to do next. All right. So we can hang fire on the beginner's video for a sec. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with these holes. Now, as you can see here, this is what you get in the kit. Okay, you've got like a recessed plastic piece of plastic. You've got holes where there are other holes, but here there's just like a recess. So I'm going to show you how I go about opening them up to make it look like that, which I think you'll agree looks a lot more realistic than just having a moulded blank hole. So what I've done, I've gone out on my lathe. I know you haven't all got a lathe, but it just makes life easier. All you need to do is get a pointed tool and pick up on the center of the hole. Okay, there you go. So you can see the center of the hole there, and then I'm going to take a drill. I'm just going to drill it where I believe the center is. Do a couple of turns and just check you're right. Yeah, you can see you're okay there. So I'm just going to drill through. Okay, and as you can see, it's over a little bit. So what I can do is come along with a pointed knife and just literally open the hole up to enlarge it and move it into the center. So you've got roughly, okay, so you've got roughly the equal amount of land around each side. That's all I'm doing. All this thing does, it allows me to put this on here. The holes are 3.5mm diameter. I can pick up on there. In fact, what I'm doing is use a sanding stick. I've got an old sanding stick here. I can put the tool on there. It can pick up in the hole. Watch this go completely pear-shaped now because the camera's on. Just pick up on the center, and you can see I can just make a mark in the center. And as you can see, that one is actually slightly out. So what I'll do is drill over at an angle like that, and then just stand the drill up, and that should pull the hole to the center, as you can see, just like that. You can see I've done these here as well. So once we've done that, you can see what I've done here is come in with a 2mm drill. So we can go in here and just open it up with a 2mm drill, just like so. Okay, so now we've got those holes opened out to 2mm. The reason I'm using 2mm is just a drill that I've got, and it leaves a decent amount of land on the side. Now if I drill it and I get it off center, all these look pretty good actually. What I can do is just do the same as I did before. I'd use the knife to scrape away some plastic and move it over. So once I've done that and I've got the 2mm hole, I've got what here is called this is called a burr. It's 3mm diameter, You can get these anywhere. You don't need to get the really expensive ones. You can get a full set of all different shapes for a few quid on Amazon, and they're much better for going through plastic than a drill, because as you all know, when you drill through plastic, the drill grabs and it pulls out a chunk, especially these bloody things here, whereas a burr kind of grinds it away. And what I'm going to do is come in from behind, ooh misses, and just remove plastic. And as you can see, it really slowly removes the plastic, and it doesn't rip into it or tear into it or anything. And then I should be able to see here, because what we'll start to see is a white line around the edge of the hole, and we can see if we've got it center, and it looks like it's pretty good. So that should pop through any minute. There we go, that's just popped through there. And now you can see we've got, because this is 3mm and the hole is 3.5, it's just worked out perfectly really. You can see we've got some plastic flash there on the top. If I put it like that, you can see it. It's about 11 o'clock. So what I can do is use this now and push it over that way, and just keep going until that flash disappears, and then I know I've cleaned the hole out properly. Now this isn't science, this is like, it's artistic. It doesn't need to be absolutely spot on. It's not like you're boring an engine or something. It's just a bloody hole in a piece of plastic. And then to get that really thin looking effect, so it looks like a thin sheet of aluminium or aluminum, I've got a 5mm ball burr here. I'm just coming in from behind, and all I'm going to do is go in until I see a nice thin edge. You can feel, put your finger over the front and you'll feel the ball coming through. It won't cut you. I wouldn't recommend using power tools, because it'll be over before you know it, and you'll make a right mess. If you're inexperienced, if you're experienced with power tools, then fill your boots. But my recommendation is do it by hand. But you can see now what we've got is a nice thin edge to that hole, so it looks like it's a sheet of aluminium. Now these are all plunged in, but you can still see the thickness of the plastic. So you can come along again with this 5mm tool and just come in from behind and just remove plastic until you get, in fact that one needs a bigger one, because that's a larger hole, but this one here will be fine. And just thin out the plastic so that you end up with a really thin wall. Like if you look at that, I've taken a little bit off of that one, but if you look at those two next to each other, you can see the difference in the thickness and how much better it looks when it's all thinned out. Especially when we add the photo etch, it's really going to make it all pop. Okay, so that's how I do that. That one there, what we'll do, we'll get this, I've got this bigger burr here. We can go in from behind with that one. It's cutting away here, look, as well. Push that in there. As you can see, we can just thin out the edge and just make it look a lot better, a lot less chunky. So there we are. Now Neil will be watching this from Hong Kong Models. I know he told me he watches my videos. So hello Neil. You don't need to change anything on your tooling, buddy, because this would be metal on, wouldn't it? But maybe for future reference, maybe do something like this, mold it thinner. Although I guess the trouble with that is you end up with a thin edge and you start to get flash and damage, and the parts will distort when they come out of the tool. It's one of the beauties of Hong Kong Models is they are they're not chunky, they're not at all chunky, but they're very strong and rigid, and they're the total opposite of mini art, if you like. Mini art tends to have millions of parts and be fairly flimsy. This one here, to open this one up, you're going to need to use a knife. Just come in like that and just remove material just to thin it out. And then what you can do with this ball cutter, I can put my thumb on it, to stop it moving. I was looking now and stop it moving to the left, and I can just push it over and it will thin that end, and then I can do the same on the other end. Push it over, just to clean up the outsides, and then the middle can just be cleaned up with a knife. As you can see there, we've got a thinner edge now on the oval hole as well. So I'm going to carry on and do the rest of these. Some of these are blanked off, like those two there. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be blanked off or not. I'll see if I can see something in my references. If I need to drill them out, I will. But basically what's going to happen is this is going to fit inside the fuselage. And, oh, there's some pins on the back. You've got pins like this. There's one there, and there's one in the middle. You need to cut that off because it's right in line with the hole. But basically what you're going to see when you look in here is, let's get that into the proper hole. No, there we go. You can see, rather than having, when you look up in the bomb bay, rather than having these just marked out holes, you can see through into the skin of the fuselage. So, and that's going to be like right on the bottom edge of the bomb bay. So I think that's going to be a vast improvement for your, you know, for busyness. Just after a bit of busyness, this thing fits together so well. Look at that. You've dropped that in. You drop that into there, and you've got to like. It's brilliant, isn't it? There we go. So I'm going to carry on and do these, make a hell of a mess, and then I'm going to have to go and have a shower because I'll be covered in bits of plastic. So I'll see you back when I've done it. There we go. All done. As you can see, looks much better, doesn't it? When you see it inside the fuselage half, is this one up here. I need to actually remove this from in here as well. I won't do it now, but you can see that's the lug, so that's got to go, and those pins will line up in there. Come on, line up please. There we go. That's gone in there, that's gone in there. You see, you just push that in and it just stays in place. It's brilliant. And you can see now, when we look up inside the bomb bay, we'll see this hollow box section as per the real thing. So we'll have to remember to spray inside there. We'll spray it black first and then give it a misting of green, so it gives it a nice deep shadow effect. I'm also looking on here, I can see on one of the holes here, I could see there was an edge. So all I'm going to do is come in with a knife and just literally, there's a little bit of a burr there on the edge. So what you can do, if you've done this and you see you've got some fluffy bits, just get some extra thin, dry the brush right off, and then just run around, just go around once, and that will just take away any soft, hairy, fluffy bits, any little burrs or anything. It'll get rid of it. Just like so. Makes quite a difference actually when you've been doing scratch building and stuff, scratch work. Don't touch it, just let it dry, and that'll just take away any edges you've got in there. So there we are. Right, so now I'm going to go away and do a beginner video, and I'll come back when I've done that. I think what I'll probably do for the beginner video, I think I'll probably do the roof, so then I can show them the sanding, the removing the two cross members, and then removing the cross members from the photo etch, how to read the instructions, folding them, bending them up and fitting them in place. And because there's a lot of people on here who watch my channel who just absolutely love being shown what to do. There we go. I haven't done that one there, have I? So I shall have to get the tools out again and do that one. I've left that one there. It's completely untouched. So I'll get onto that one now. So I'll see you back when I've done my beginner video, probably in a day or two. It'll be like that for you. And we're back. So here we are now. We've done the beginners video. We did a two-parter, 17 and 17A. So this may well go out before them, I don't know. But you can see there we've got the the Bombay roof done with all the photo etch in there. I glued one of them together for the video, and then the other one I soldered. No real point in soldering it. The glue is absolutely fine. So we've basically done all of this here. We've done part A in those two videos, and then we've done all this folding up, and now we're looking at doing this bulkhead. So what they're telling us to do here is remove this detail. So we've got this detail on here. We've got some ejector pin marks to sand off as well. And also I noticed there are some little gaps in here that are going to be, when we put this plate on here, when it's all sanded off, you can see there's some bits there which are going to stick out. I'm not sure if we're going to see them or not, but it takes nothing just to cover them up. So I've got some plastic card here, which is like 1.5 mil thick. I'm going to stick it in with some super glue. I'm going to use the thin one, the Flexi 5K CAXT thin. Use that one, and because it's very, very good. All the VMS glues are very, very good. I really do like them. I must get some more actually. So I'm going to stick this into there, like so. That's the wrong way up. It's got like a wedge on it, so it wedges itself in. There we go. That can go in there like that. And I'm using plastic rather than filler, because fillers you have to wait to dry and everything, and they sink back. Whereas this, because it's glued in with super glue and not solvent glue, it'll just, by the way up, it will just it will be pretty instant. I need to just shorten that one a touch. I've made it slightly too long, or I've used the wrong side in the wrong side sort of thing. So just shorten that a touch. We'll get that into there like so. There we are. So they've gone in there like that now. Little bit of super glue over the top. That'll capillary down in and fill any gaps that are there. It's only the very ends that are exposed anyway, so it's not the end of the world. So we can just leave that for a minute to dry. In fact, we can just put that to dry and we can get on with folding up. So it's telling us here to fold these end pieces here. We've got these pieces sticking out, and we've got to fold them 90 degrees and then bring them down. So what they're saying here, we have, as you can see, we have one side is plain, so that's going to be glued onto the bulkhead. Don't want to be doing that too much. And the other side has rivet detail on it, as you can see there. So these are obviously going to fold over this way. So when you look at them on the back side, they have rivet detail, and the rivet detail is going to be against the face. So we've actually got to fold this section here. The line point, if I point at the top one, the section at the bottom is going to fold, so that's going to fold up at 90 degrees. So I'm going to get my metal folder rather than try and do it with pliers, just because it's much easier to do on camera for one, and it's much easier to do full stop really. So we're going to put that under there, lift this up, give it plenty of room. I'm going to bend this inner one first. Okay, so we can just lightly close that cover down. Then we can grab our blade and stick the blade. It was made for that one. It's absolute identical length. Okay, we can stick the blade in there and then clamp it really good and hard, because it's not got much in there. Just get the blade under and just push that up 90 degrees like that. And the reason I've done that one first is now I can pull this one out and do this one. If I did this one first, I wouldn't be able to then go in and do that one. So I'm going to get my blade. What I'm doing here is I zoom you in a bit. Let's bring you in a bit closer. I have to remember though, as I say, my field of view goes, I think what's depth of field, is it? So I'm basically putting the blade into the groove like so. So it's sat in, and I can push it up to the edge, and then I know that I've got it in the right place. Clamp it good and hard, get underneath it, bend it up. There we go, so that's that one up like that. Now when it comes to this side, Again, we'll do the inside one first. Very gently put it under there. We don't want to go bending anything or breaking anything off. So just hold it like that. Come in with the knife blade, the razor blade into the gap, and then push in like that. Clamp it good and hard underneath there, and just push it up. And then into there. And push it up. There we go. So that's the first part done. So the second part, they're telling us to bend those over, and we've also got to bend the bottom up. So what I'm going to do now is just with my fingers, just literally push that over. Now at the bottom here, Edward have sensibly put in a guide. So at the bottom you can see here, you can see on that one there because it's bent over, you can see there's a little groove there. Let me come back up. I keep bending that bottom piece, I'm going to snap it off in a minute. Let me come back up a minute because it's difficult to work when the camera's so close to the bench. You can see there's a little etched mark there, and that's the mark telling me where this has got to go. So what I'm going to do is get my homemade modified pegs and put this down and just hold it in place with that peg, and then what we can do is nudge it over. If I pull the, that's good, if I pull the peg, it actually pulls the brass with it, so that's cool. I'm wondering here if what I should have done, if I get away with just lifting that one up, because obviously that one's going to get in the way when I want to clamp that one down. So I'm just going to push this one into position. There we go. There we are. And then we can take a drop of that thin super glue, and I'm just going to run it into there, and it will capillary under and give us a nice solid joint. I was thinking about soldering this, but the trouble is with soldering it, if you get any excess solder, it's very difficult to neatly remove it, especially with these little fine bits and pieces all around you. So I'm going to leave that to dry for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to do the same with the other ones. And as you can see, what I've done is I'm going to do the inner two first. Okay, so I'm just going to knock this one up. If you're fairly new to photo etch, it's worth remembering, you know, I'm nervous about bending things back, because if you bend things, like if you want to snap a piece of steel, you know, you can bend it a few times and it'll break, and the brass will do the same. So that's why I'm very conscious about, I keep bending the bottom. What I'll probably do on that bottom edge is solder it, and that'll give us a better strength. There we go, so that's held in place. So again, we can come in with our super glue on the edge of the knife blade and just run it in. Knife blade is a fantastic way of getting the glue in. There we go. Leave that for a minute to dry. I'll do the other two. I'll be right back. There we are, guys. You can see there how it looks. Got this on there, and it's actually working. It's made that panel very stiff, so make sure you keep it flat when you do it. Very nice indeed, looks lovely. So that's going to look a lot better than that. So we've got to get this all sorted, haven't we? So we've got to come in here and just cut that off. I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to see if I can cut these ridges off just to save the sanders. Save our sanders, that's the latest campaign. So there we go. There we are. And I'm going to get a coarse-ish sander to run off those ridges. You don't need to watch me sand this, do you? I'll be back in a minute. Okay, that's sanded off. I'm also looking down here, we've got this plastic ledge on the bottom, which is obviously what this piece of folded over photo etch is going to represent. Now if I remove that, that means that piece of photo etch is going to be sticking out on its own. Now because this is the bottom edge of the Bombay, we're looking up in, we're not actually going to see the top. So what I'm going to do is take my knife and just scrape away some of this here, just to make sure the plastic edge doesn't stick out above the photo etch, because you can see what's going to happen. This is going to fold up in two, and it's going to be, if I can put that on there, it's going to fold over like that, and then that's going to fold over. And I just want to make sure, in fact what I could do is just do it all now. What I want to do is solder that edge. I want to make that edge nice and strong, and I can also then sand it back. So I think what I'm going to do is, that's at 90 degrees now. Let's get my soldering iron on, put it over here, and we'll get some flux capacitor. Now we'll get some flux in there. I can brush some flux into the back here. Brush caught up. I put plenty of flux in there because I want it to really flow into that gap. Stuff stinks. So what I do is I'm going to hold this in this peg to make it easier to pick up. And another reason for soldering, it's going to make it a lot stronger. If you bend a piece of photo etch, even if it's just like these here, if I'd run solder down where I bent it, you wouldn't be able to bend it back. It makes it absolutely solid. So I'm going to grab some solder. See if the iron's ready to pick the solder up. Not yet, it's not hot enough. I have the iron just set at maximum, which is 400 degrees. There we go, let's get some solder on there. And then I'm just going to let this, maybe I can do it from the inside. No. I just want this to go into that gap. It's almost like this soldering iron's too cold, it's weird. It's really sticky. I don't normally have this issue, even though the brass is quite large. I'm wondering if the tip is loose, perhaps. It's very strange, it's just not flowing at all. That is weird. Maybe I just haven't let the iron get hot enough. That is very strange. Normally it's not even picking that solder up off of there, look. I'm guessing I just haven't let the iron get hot enough, perhaps. Finish this off camera and then I'll be back. And we're back, so that's that done. Sanded all that out now. Really don't know what's going on, it just doesn't seem to want to flow. It's either that, I mean, does flux go off? I don't know, I've ordered some new flux anyway. But it's very, very strange. I also had, because the heat destroyed the super glue on the end of these railings here, so I actually soldered these on the ends as well. So there we go. So they're all done, that's all good, everything's nice. Right, so now we need to get this fixed onto here. Obviously where we've got the bits of solder in there, we need to make some room for them to go. So what I'm going to do here, I've got the plastic piece there, and I'm just going to get my knife and make a line there and make a line there. And then I know that within that area I can just remove some of this corner, just like so, just to make it give a bit of relief for that solder that's in the corner. There we go. And now that should sit in there nicely. There we are. So what we're going to do now is fold this lip on the bottom. So we'll fold this up. So that is basically going to go into there. I'm going to get my tool, Mrs. Put it in there. There we go. So that's that clamped in position. So now we should be able to just fold that over. Okay, and then to make it square. Oh, I wanted to show you as well, you know how floppy this was before. You can see how strong it is now with the solder in there. It makes a hell of a difference. I want to be able to get this to go over a bit more. Just get that gone into there. And then with a pair of tweezers we can come along and just push that over a bit. And then we can just push it down on the bench to make it go the rest of the way. That should all be nice and square. And there we are. That's going to go onto there like that. Get it all lined up. As you can see, that's lovely. When we look at it up from underneath, we can't see the plastic behind it. I may just take a bit more off of there, to be honest, because we may be able to see something. So I'm just going to use my knife just to trim away that top edge. It's a lot easier to do this now than it is when the brass is glued on there. Oops, wrong way. Duh. That's going to go like that. There we go. So we are. So we look up from underneath now. We just see that brass edge. We won't see the plastic there at all. So that's that. What I've got to do now is glue that on, and we are done with that section. So I'll get that glued on and I'll come back. Okay, I've been doing a bit of clean up and re-establish those rivets that got filled with solder and everything. What you can do is put some wick over there and wick the solder out. I just marked them with a marker and then just run over them with a drill. So they look quite good. So that's all that. Right, now I think I'll just give that another quick flatten out actually, now that I've gone over with the drill, just to make sure it's not burred up. So that's that done. Okay, so if you remember, I said about printing these off, and I don't like to use the instructions that come with the set because I'm old and these are small and these are big. I noticed on here we have 1 of 6, 2 of 6, 3 of 6 and 4 of 6, but we've only got 4 pages, so I thought I must have missed 2 out. Went back to the Edward website and sure enough they've only got 4 pages on there. So I looked at these instructions and indeed we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's the other one gone? It must still be in the packet. I thought I'd gotten them out. Ugh, put it away again, idiot. 5, 6. So we obviously don't need to print 6 because we don't need to see that. But here we have I'd noticed these panels here and I thought there's nowhere in the instructions where they go. So we've got, for this rear bulkhead here, we've got to remove some detail. We're going to put a panel on there. We're going to put a panel here. Yes, we're going to put a panel on here. And we're going to put a panel on there. We're not putting anything on here. So that will make that look nice because we've got that panel there is going on there. Because there's nothing on there, it's just plain plastic. So that's cool. And then we've got these lovely hinges here. See those there for the bomb doors. So they're going to look really nice on the top edge of the bomb doors. So that's going to look good. They're telling us to actually remove the pins that hold the bomb door in place and just use them. Or I think I'd leave the pins in there. We shall have to have a look at that. I'd be tempted to leave the pins in there. But we also have these pieces here. I'm guessing they must be used up in here somewhere. Okay. So yeah, we'll have to use that one for the for doing that bit, but it's not the end of the world. I will inform them of the errors on the website, because I have to tell them I'm doing these videos because they want to see me using their stuff. So if they don't like it, they won't send me any more, and if they do like it, they'll probably send me some more every day. I'm joking. That's going to be on there like that. So it's all looking pretty good. That's going to be on there like that. And that is going to be on there like that. So as you can see, it's really adding a few bits and pieces, nooks and crannies and everything. And this one is going to sit in there. I'm not sure which way around. I think it goes that way around. So that's going to sit in there like that. So you can see we're adding a nice bit of detail in there. So there we go. I'm going to call it a day for this one, because otherwise it's going to go on for hours. The other thing we need to look at, as I've noticed, we've got this rectangular hole here. I'm not sure what goes in there, but we've got a hole in the bomb bay roof. So if we don't sort that out before we paint the bomb bay, when we glue whatever goes in there, we're going to make a mess there. So we'll have to have a look in the instructions to see what that's all about. But really happy. These are super glued on. I used the black thin and capillaried it in, let it dry, and then sanded out the remainder. Good thing about using the black, you can see where it goes. So you can see, like down on here, you can see there's some glue has come down onto there. So you can just quickly get in there and mop it up with a cotton bud. So yeah, happy with that. And this is all looking snazzy now. Oh, the other thing I did, I got some of the thin glue and I ran it down off the edge of the knife down here, because these, where they fold up, they're not actually fold lines, they're actually slots cut right through. If you go and look at the Edward website and you look at where they've done theirs, they paint the plastic black before they put the brass on, and you'll see then the difference that makes as well, because you can see obviously they haven't done that on theirs, but you'll see the you can see the gaps in there. So I just wanted to fill them in with some thin super glue, just so when it's painted it doesn't look. One of the things with photo etch is, if you're not careful, it will actually look like photo etch. Remember what we're trying to achieve. We want it to look like, you know, we want that to look like 18 gauge bent metal strips. We don't want it to look like a photo etch, so we don't want to see the holes and stuff, or the fold lines and everything. So there we go, guys. So call that a day for that one. That's been part 10, and I will see. This has been filmed over a week. Over a week I've been filming this, I think. So I will see you for part 11, and I'm probably not going to film much of this, but we'll get it together. I don't think you want to see all that, do you? Not really. We shall see. Right, I'll see you for part 11. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Bye for now.